Hi everyone, Dr. Nicole LaPera, the holistic psychologist here. Today's video, we are going to talk about something I talk about quite frequently, which is what I call the trauma body. Trauma is not just, as many of us think of, a mental or an emotional event, and it definitely isn't something that only exists at the time when we experience the trauma. Many of us carry trauma with us into our daily, into our future, in our bodies. Trauma remains stuck in our bodies and actually, for a lot of us, causes physiological symptoms. What are some of the symptoms? Headaches. I know if I could have bought stock in the headache medicine, Excedrin, I would have. I lived with it in my bag, from my school bag to my work bag, as long as I can remember. I always had a headache. So chronic headaches, a lot of times, can be the effects, the residual effect in our body of that stored trauma. Sweaty palms, right? A lot of us can maybe feel just kind of moist and sweaty. Racing heart. Anytime our heart rate is just generally elevated, a lot of us that are carrying trauma have a higher resting blood pressure in general, and or we can feel our heart rate spike throughout the day. We don't feel that calmness in our heart muscle. Another thing, and I definitely suffered with this, is hunched posture. You can even still tell I have a little bit of a slouch. I remember growing up, my mom would always say to me, stand up straight. So for me, this slouch began at a very young age and remains. I make it a daily practice to try and righten my posture. Another way we can experience trauma in our bodies is with consistent stomach pain, stomach issues, digestive problems, everything from IBS to constipation. It can really affect the way we process or don't process our food. So a lot of us continue to live under these chronic symptoms because we're carrying that trauma, that stuckness, the stuck energy in our physical bodies. So how do we heal? We have to begin to rebuild the connection that probably was severed for most of us between our mind and our body. As a protection mechanism, we begin to sever that connection to keep ourselves safe when the trauma happens. And then many of us remain living in that disconnect. Those of you who follow my work know I talk a lot about my spaceship. That's where I live the majority of my life, disconnected from my physical body, unaware that those symptoms that I just described to you that I was experiencing, unaware that they were happening a lot, and or unaware of what was really causing them. I thought that's just how my body was. I didn't understand that that was the result of this trauma. So we want to begin to reconnect the mind and the body so that we can get more in tune with our body's energy and sensations, and then begin to practice releasing this stored trauma. So how do we do this? Through stretching, gentle yoga, right? You don't have to go into buy the fancy yoga class. There's many free videos. I happen to love Yoga with Adriene. I think she's a great beginner. She has short practices. Maybe this isn't even yoga. Maybe you're just stretching, learning how to be in our body, focusing our attention in our body when we're stretching. How does it feel, right, to touch our toes? How does it feel in our body? You might not know at first. So this is a practice. When we're moving our body through stretching or gentle yoga, paying attention to the sensations and the changes in sensations as we engage in that movement. Hand energy technique. I did a video on this. I'll make sure that we link it below. This is a practice of tuning into the energy. A lot of us can begin to feel energy as it moves through our body. It might feel like tingling, right? It might feel like a lightness, like a butterfly sensation. I know for me, because I've practiced, I can feel it mostly in my legs and in my fingers. So check out my video, learning how to sit with ourselves and tune into the energy that's always present in our bodies. Again, it might not be apparent to you at first, but as you begin to practice and sit with yourself and learn your body's energy fields, you'll begin to understand how your energy shows up and how it shifts and changes. Another way is a lean over, right? Just touching our toes. This is really helpful. Not only is it stretching, it's actually shifting the way that our blood is flowing. And then notice. The theme here with all of these steps is to notice. Don't just fling your body over and I'm done. Really feel. I have the tightest hamstrings, so when I stretch, I feel it. I feel the tightness, I feel it move a little bit. I can feel those sensations and use that as the hook to keep my attention in my body. Because while we're doing these things, our monkey mind is trying to pull our attention to everything else. So using those sensations of the deep stretch, and then how do you feel when you invert yourself back up and all of the blood goes flowing back down? You might feel the energy shift that we were talking about earlier. Another thing, if you guys follow me, you know I go on and on and on about learning how to practice deep belly breathing. When we learn how to breathe down from our bellies and not shallow in our chest, we're learning a new relationship with our nervous system, our calming nervous system. Those of us that are living in a trauma body, we're probably living in an overactivated fight or flight nervous system. Our body's always turned on. So this simple practice of belly breaths can go a long way to redistribute that energy and to bring our body toward calm using our nervous system. The beautiful part of each of these practices is they're what I call portable. We can do them anywhere. We could do them in the middle of the day when I'm having a stressful work experience or I'm having an argument with my partner. I can excuse myself to the bathroom or the back room, check in with my energy, maybe gently stretch if I'm feeling tension. For me, I know I can always stretch the tension out of my neck, right? If I can stretch some tension, and maybe I want to deploy some deep belly breaths to calm myself before I re-enter the stressful situation. As always, remember that this is a practice. Those of us that are living stuck in the trauma body, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time to rebuild that connection with our body so we can get clarity on how does our energy feel? How do our sensations feel? What's going on in here? So as you begin to practice, if it's difficult, if it's uncomfortable, and if you're just not sure what you're feeling, that's okay. This is new. Cultivating this relationship with our body can allow us to begin to release some of this tension, to begin to move us back into that parasympathetic balance state, and to give us an opportunity to create new experiences outside of the loop that many of us are stuck in because of our body. I hope you found this helpful. I know for me, living in a trauma body, still healing my trauma body, this practice goes an incredibly long way. It really does build in the foundational balance upon which all deeper level healing can occur.